Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. And in today's video I'm going to share with you guys a few practical tips to help protect your peace, stay grounded, and rise above stress. Those of us that are over the age of 50, especially black women that are over the age of 50, we still find ourselves in stressful situations. One would think by the time we reach this age, we are have learned how to um, thrive and manage stress, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So again, in this video, I'm going to share with you guys just a few practical tips to help you not only manage, but to thrive when a stressful situation presents itself. Some of us in this age group, we might find ourselves juggling tons of balls. We have tons of balls in the air that we're juggling. We might have young adult children that are in college, and we're still offering moral support, financial support, and aiding them and helping them get to the next stage in their life so they can be fully self-sufficient adults. Or we might have aging parents that we're now having to step in and make decisions for them financially as well as for their health and wellness. Um, we might be still on a job in a high stressful job. We're working around people that we wouldn't necessarily want to um, have in our space, or we might be working with young adults. There's just tons of things that might bring on stress at this age. So again, hopefully these tips that I'm sharing with you will aid you in not only managing but thriving when stressful situations present themselves, or stressful people. So if you're new here, I'm Allison, and on the channel I provide holistic health and wellness practical tips targeting black women over the age of 50 to aid them in living the life that they desire and deserve, aging gracefully, and obtain optimal health. So with that said, let me get started in the 5 tips that will aid you in thriving and or rising in above stress. And oh, by the way, here I do have a few notes, so if you see me looking down, that is what's going on. So the first tip on my list is, when you find yourself in a stressful situation or stress has presented itself in your life, take a moment and create a pause practice. And what I mean by that, what a pause practice is, you start with, when stress hits, instead of reacting, give yourself a moment of stillness. It can be something as simple as 60 seconds to breathe and deeply check in with yourself. And you want to ask yourself during that time, is this mine to carry? Is this situation, or the situation that has appeared dealing with the person that you love, you want to pause for a second, as I mentioned, is 60 seconds, and ask yourself, is this mine to carry? Or you can ask yourself, what do I need to do right now? Because sometimes, again, when a stressful situation presents itself, by nature, some of us just react. But during that pause break, you want to just take a second, and you want to just question yourself, what needs to be done right now? Sometimes nothing needs to be done. Sometimes, especially if it's someone else's issue and someone has called you with an issue that they're going through, and I'll say your kid, or a loved one, and pause a second and ask yourself, is this something that I need to deal with right now? And sometimes the answer is no. If it's not a life or death situation, sometimes you could just pause a second, pump the brakes, and really just think about it. And if you're dealing with another person, again, if it's not a life or death situation, ask them, can you get back with them? This allow you the time that you need to really think about it and not react to what the situation is, and really think about it. And finally, when you're taking that pause, you also want to ask yourself during that time, am I honoring myself or am I performing strength? So again, during that time, you want to check in with yourself and ask yourself, am I honoring myself? And if you're just tripping out and you're stressing, you're not honoring yourself. You're not honoring your temple. So the number one thing doing the number one, not number one, tip number one, when stress hits, you want to take a pause break, and you want to practice pausing. And during that pause, you want to ask yourself these three empowering questions. Is this mine to carry? What do I need right now? And am I honoring myself? All right, the number 2 tip on my list is declutter what drains you. And every week, a recommendation or suggestion, take an inventory of what is draining you. And if you can get rid of it, get rid of it. If it's a person, if it's a loved one, again, if it's not a life or death situation, or, a child or a family member that really is like, really dependent upon you, you might have to give them a break. You might have to just declutter. You really got to do some inventory on yourself on a weekly basis, and just come up with a list of some of the things that's draining you, and giving yourself permission to say no, cancel, or even, if possible, you can delegate. So if there's a task, or there's something that's on your to-do list. So for example, at home, you live with your spouse, your partner, or you have other people that are living in your home. And every week, you're the person that's doing the cleaning. You're doing a lot of the chores around the house. And it leaves barely enough time for you to check in with yourself or have time for self-care. You might have to delegate some of those responsibilities, so it will ease up some time for you to decompress, and that will help you maybe with thriving and overcoming stress. So some of the things that bring you stress, when you have like a large to-do list, tons of things that need to be taken care of at home, and then if there are people that are in your home, try to delegate it. And if you have the resources available for us, like financial resources, you can maybe outsource some of those tasks and projects. So maybe like a housekeeping service, or someone to wash your car, or maybe even laundry. But the number 2 tip is to declutter what drains you. And every week you want to do an inventory, if not once a week, once a month. Do an inventory of just some of those things that bring you stress. And you can always, if it's things that are repeated, consistent, you might have to cancel some things, say no to some things, delegate some things in order to say yes to yourself. The number 3 tip that's on my list is make a make joy a daily habit, not a weekend treat. So I repeat, tip number 3 is to make joy a daily habit and not a weekend treat. And I know that I am guilty of this sometimes, and sometimes we put our happiness and we put our joy at the bottom of our priority list, and we wait until the weekend before we go out, we have a good time, or we just relax or whatever. No, try to change that. Try to implement things on a consistent or daily base that brings you joy. And that could be something as simple as if you enjoy drinking a cup of tea or going for a walk or whatever it is, but finding some time every single day, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, to find something every single day that will bring you joy. And you want to put it into your daily schedule. And if possible, you want to do these things or whatever it is the first thing in the morning before, again, especially if you live in a home with other people, before others are up and moving about. You want to have that time alone to just participate in those things that brings you joy. And if you don't know, you can ask yourself, what brings me back to myself? I know those of us where we've gotten so lost in our lives because our life is surrounded so much about other people and other things. Sometimes some people simply don't know what that answer is. They don't know what brings them joy. And again, when you take a pause break, you can sit down and you could really just think about and ask yourself these questions, these empowering questions. What brings me back to myself? And when was the last time I felt light, free, or inspired? And it's important, again, before I wrap up with tip number 3, that you make space every single day for the small things, these small things that bring you joy. Don't delay them until the weekend or till you go on vacation. So the number 3 tip to help you thrive beyond when stress hits is to make joy a daily practice. Number 4, the number 4 tip on my list is to talk to yourself like you talk to your sister or a loved one or your child. A lot of times the inner critic gets inside, and this voice is a lot louder than it's just like and it just starts to really criticize. Oh, you're not doing this right, you need to exercise, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, or you said you were going to do this and you didn't do this. So the inner critic voice gets really, really loud, and sometimes that can really stress us out. So you want to really talk to yourself. So just like you would if a loved one, your child or someone else, they are experiencing stress, the same love and attention that you would show that loved one, you want to show that to yourself. You want to give yourself the same attention, the same love that you would give anyone else. And just here are a few empowering questions that you can ask yourself during that time is, not empowering questions, but I have a few affirmations that you can ask yourself during that time. You can say to yourself, I am allowed to rest. Again, you want to talk to yourself and you want to tell yourself that I'm allowed to rest. When everything is going on crazy around you and you're stressed and you need to take a break, take a break. And if that crazy voice inside of you is telling, no, you need to do this, you need to do that, no, you need to shut that voice down, and you need to give yourself permission and tell yourself, I'm allowed to rest. And also remind yourself that I don't have to carry it all. And even if you're alone and you live alone and you don't have a support system, still, there are other resources and things that are available that can possibly help you during a stressful time. And sometimes, because by nature we're so used to doing every single thing by ourselves, that we just overlook the smallest things that are around us that can help us during a stressful situation. So you want to just tell yourself that you don't have to carry it all. And when you're taking a rest, you'd be surprised what comes up, what information, what ideas comes up to could possibly assist you when you're going through a stressful time. And finally, you want to tell yourself that peace is your birthright. It is. God didn't put us here on earth to be stressed out and be worried. So it is your birthright. If you are living and you're breathing, well, if you're living, you are breathing. You are breathing if you're living, but you know what I'm saying. It's your birthright. So you are allowed to, I have one more note here. You are allowed during that time to just make sure that you're giving yourself permission, and just to remind yourself that it is your birthright to be okay and be at peace. And the final thing that I would say is to, when you find yourself, when stress is hit, connect with others. I am back. I had some technical problems during recording. So, anyways, I'm back and I had to start my recording back over again. But this is the fifth and final tip of just some things to empower you, to protect your peace, to help you stay grounded when stress hits itself. And our fifth and final tip is to, when you find yourself in a stressful situation or there's just ongoing stress, try to connect with some positive people or get out in nature. But yeah, if you have positive people around you, try to connect with them during this difficult time. They might share some words of encouragement or empowerment to just help you thrive during those stressful situations, or maybe even offer you some solutions or give you an opportunity to maybe step away during that time. But the fifth and final tip is to, when you're going through a stressful situation, is to connect with nature or connect with some positive people. So that concludes my video on just some simple practical tips that you can consider implementing into your life when you find yourself in when stress hits It is very, very important, especially for those of us, Black women in particular, that are over the age of 50, to find ways to not only manage stress, but to thrive and survive when stress shows its ugly face. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And oh, by the way, in the comment section, please leave a tip and let me know how you thrive when stress shows up. Or if any of these tips, or you find value in any of these tips, I would love to just hear from you. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. Bye.